Everyone therefore, whether he desires material enjoyment, liberation or transcendental loving service of the Lord, should engage himself in offering obeisances unto the Supreme Lord, because the Lord can award everyone his desired benediction. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord affirms, Ye yata mam prapadyante. Anyone who desires to be a successful enjoyer in this material world is awarded that benediction by the Lord. Anyone who wants to be liberated from the entanglement of this material world is given liberation by the Lord. And anyone who desires to constantly engage in his service in full Krishna consciousness is awarded that benediction by the Lord. For material enjoyment, he has prescribed so many ritualistic sacrificial performances in the Vedas, and thus people may take advantage of those instructions and enjoy material life in higher planets or in a noble aristocratic family. These processes are mentioned in the Vedas and one can take advantage of them. It is similar with those who want to be liberated from this material world. Unless one is disgusted with the enjoyment of this material world, he cannot aspire for liberation. Liberation is for one who is disgusted with material enjoyment. Vedanta Sutra says, therefore, atato brahma jijnasa. Those who have given up the attempt to be happy in this material world can inquire about the absolute truth. For those who want to know the absolute truth, the Vedanta Sutra is available. As is Srimad Bhagavatam, the actual explanation of Vedanta Sutra. Since Srimad Bhagavatam is also Vedanta Sutra, by understanding Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedanta Sutra or Bhagavad Gita, one can obtain real knowledge. When one obtains real knowledge, he becomes theoretically one with the Supreme, and when he actually begins the service of Brahman or Krishna consciousness, he is not only liberated, but situated in his spiritual life. Similarly, for those who want to lord it over material nature, there are so many departments of material enjoyment, material knowledge and material science are available, and the Lord provides for persons who want to enjoy them. The conclusion is that one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for any benediction. The word Kama Varsham is very significant, for it indicates that he satisfies the desires of anyone who approaches him. But one who sincerely loves Krishna and yet wants material enjoyment is in perplexity. Krishna, being very kind toward him, gives him an opportunity to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, and so he gradually forgets the hallucination. So, Kardamani is further explaining the purpose of the Lord's creation as understood from the scriptures. Yesterday we discussed how in the verse, yesterday's verse says that the Lord manifests this creation for the sensual satisfaction of the living entities who want to enjoy their senses independently. And today we see here that I continuously offer my respectful obeisance to your lotus feet, of which is worthy to take shelter, because you shower all benedictions on the insignificant, material or spiritual, anything. To give all living entity detachment from fruitive activity by realizing you have expanded this material worlds by your own energy. So again here, it is reconfirmed that why the Lord has created or expanded this material world. Why He has created this material energy. What is that for? To give all living entities detachment from fruitive activity. So yesterday we were discussing about sense gratification. Sense gratification is something that in the material world everybody seeks sense gratification. Seeks, desires sense gratification. And the Lord who is seated in everybody's heart, He is the one who actually guides the living entity towards attaining that fruits that one wants to enjoy. So the Lord is not only the sanctioner, not only the constant factor or the constant Shakti that makes the living entity or gives the living entity the ability to move matter. Because of the all-pervading Lord, the living entity is able to move the matter. Otherwise, a tiny, insignificant spirit cannot move material energy. So we discussed this yesterday, the example of how rain is a steady factor for all growth of different types of growth in the forest. Even though there may be localized reasons for a tree to become a mango tree or a jackfruit tree or anything. But whether it is a jackfruit, mango tree, any wild shrub, a constant factor is the rain. So in the same way, the rain of Lord's mercy is here in this material world as Paramatma, Suhurdam Sarvabhutanam, as a friend of all living entities. What is a friend? One wants to have freedom to roam around in this material world. The Lord says, okay, you go into the material world, and He facilitates this kind of an arrangement where one can satisfy one's own senses independently. But as an hallucination. Because one is not the body, so where is one's own senses? One comes into this material world not with his own senses. He gets covered, his original senses covered by material senses. So he thinks those are his senses, and therefore he is satisfying those senses. When he is satisfying those senses, when he is satisfying that bodily concept of life, whom is he satisfying? He is not satisfying him. It is in hallucination. He is thinking he is satisfying him. He is thinking he is enjoying. He is thinking he is earning enjoyment. So the characteristic of this material world is very important to understand, that everything is earned. It's a fruitive world. The soul's original position is not fruitive at all. The fruitive idea comes from controlling tendency, lording tendency. I can lord over the material energy. So I can manipulate the material energy. I can produce the fruit. This is a basic defective consciousness of the living entity. And this, right from beginning in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives formulas for rectification of this consciousness. They say you have no right over the fruit of the activities, you have a right to act. The living entity has a right to serve, but not to produce the fruit. The Lord is seated in everybody's heart, and He actually sanctions the fruit. But we have to execute our duty. We have to execute our service. We have to execute even a karmi has to do his duty. And the results are all given by the Lord, according to what he desires and what he deserves. The law of karma is nothing but law of perfect fairness to all living entities in this material world. As you sow, so you reap. As you earn, you enjoy. This is material world. So what happens? Here it is said that you have expanded this material world so that the living entities get detached from fruitive activity. The living entity constantly tries to lord of this material nature, then finally he realizes that I cannot control this material nature, I cannot control my destiny, I cannot control my future. A constant struggle he does. He expects something else happens. Then that is the lokatantram. That is the vartita lokatantram. This is the device of the Lord. This material world is a creation, it's a device of the Lord to make the living entities understand that you are not the controller. If you are controller, then everything, whatever you want, you will achieve. Whatever you want, you don't achieve. You get frustrated. Whatever you want, the laws of nature is there. According to the laws of nature, the Paramatma will guide you to work towards it, and then he will give you the fruit. To work towards it means in the material world we think if I have to do something, I get intelligence, I move things like this, I do this, and I'll get result. But that is not the way the material world is designed. Material world, that is only one part. How to do intelligence is only one part. But that intelligence itself will come only according to your karma, your earning, punya and papa. There's a factor of punya and papa. So, if somebody is so desperate, desires something, as Prabhupada is saying here, that if though he has prescribed many ritualistic sacrificial performances in the Vedas, and thus people may take advantage of those instructions, enjoy material life in higher planets or in noble aristocratic family. It is not that the living entity simply prays that I want to be, very rich, suddenly you will become rich. No, the Lord will guide him to do punya and then earn the riches, and then he will give you the riches. This is a world of this much. In other words, even material karmis, what they are getting is because of the Lord's mercy, because of the Lord's guidance. He is directing the wanderings of all living entities. Brahmyan sarvabhutani yantaruddhani maya Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshi arjuna tishtiti. The Lord is seated in the heart and is directing the wanderings of all living entities, not simply directing the wanderings of the devotees. He is directing the wandering of all the living entities. All the living entities are getting what they are getting materially because of the Paramatma, because of the Super Soul. So, when the living entity, when a devotee understands this mechanism, the Lokatantra, the purpose of this, immediately he surrenders to Krishna. He says, why I should try to control material energy? No, I should try to perfect my duty. I have a right, why one should try to perfect one's duty, or why one should execute one's duty, because that is the constitutional position of the jiva, is to serve. Constitutional position of the jiva is to serve for the pleasure of the Lord. Constitutional duty of the jiva is not to work for one's own pleasure. So there is a difference between working the way karmis work and the way the devotees work. The devotees also work, it is called service. The karmis work, it's called work. What is the difference in the attitude? The devotee, when he serves, he knows that the Lord is guiding him and is simply a servant carrying out his orders. And then the result is constantly aware that the result is in the hands of the Lord. The devotees also desire, karmi also desires. When the karmi desires, he is thinking that I will get the fruit, I should get the fruit. When a devotee desires, he is thinking, no, it is left to the Lord, whether it is the will of the Lord to give the fruit or not. That is his business. Because the devotee also says the fruit is for him, not for me. So what you want, you already got. What is it that you already got? Service. So for you it is service, fruit is for the Lord. For you it is service. You have a right to work. You have a right to perform your activities. So we have a right to serve. This is jiva's right. It is jiva's right of pleasure also is to learn how to enjoy serving. Not how to enjoy fruit. How to enjoy service. No doubt, it's a loving devotion service of the Lord. As Prabhupada says, we all have senses. Yesterday I explained how seeking sense gratification is different, sense gratification is different. Seeking sense gratification is unconstitutional. Sense gratification is not unconstitutional. Why? Because we have got senses. If you have got senses, doesn't mean you have to seek for your senses. That is the problem. You have to seek to serve. Every sense enjoyment is given, is sanctioned by the Lord, is a reciprocation of the Lord, loving reciprocation of the Lord, with gratitude that devotees enjoy also. Just like you enjoy Krishna Prasadam. With gratitude you enjoy. You enjoy in a way which it is prescribed to be enjoyed. In the material world, every prasadam has to be also enjoyed in a very restricted sense, in a very regulated sense. Even prasadam also you have to enjoy in a very regulated sense. Because this is material world. In the spiritual world, there is no regulation in honoring the prasadam. Whatever the Lord gives, gratefully you enjoy. You serve back. Of course, the devotee is interested. There are two things. See, one is service. When you want to enjoy your senses, you have to stop your service. Two things you cannot do. You can enjoy doing services. Simultaneously you can do. You can take pleasure in doing something. So you can enjoy and you can do. That is only with respect to service. With respect to fruit, when you want to enjoy the fruit, that time your service has to stop. And devotee does not like that. Because devotee have developed greater taste in doing service to the Lord than in enjoying the fruits. So just see how in the spiritual world, a pure devotee is, there are senses, there are enjoyment for the senses, but he is not after those things. He does not desire that actually. He does not desire that. The Lord is pushing upon the devotee. So Lord's business is how to please the devotees. And the devotee's business is how to please the Lord. This is the transcendental dynamics of action, work, fruit, enjoyment, who is the enjoyer of the fruit. This is the point that purification happens when one gets fed up in the material world. One has to develop disgust. Here Prabhupada says, unless one is disgusted with the enjoyment of this material world, he cannot aspire for liberation. Liberation is for one who is disgusted with material enjoyment. One should get disgusted with material. If one understands one constitutional position that he has to seek Krishna's pleasure and that is his real pleasure, then he develops disgust for this fallen thinking of, I have to enjoy myself. Everywhere, what is there for me in it? This material fruitive mentality. What is the fruit for me? Not service. He is thinking what is at the end of the service, what is there for me. So engaging in devotion service of the Lord, we have to be very careful on two aspects. One is, no doubt, we engage in producing the fruits for preaching in Krishna consciousness. We have to think of we have to desire, but desire subject to Lord's, always knowing that it's not, I cannot go wild on my desire. When you karmis go wild on their desire and they get frustrated when it does not satisfy. When they cannot move material energy the way they want, they get frustrated. Devotees also want to move the material energy on behalf of the Lord, but they never get frustrated because they know that the Lord is constant, all-pervading. He is the constant mover of material energy, both in terms of bala, and also in terms of jnana. Sarvasya chaham, no, it's a mata smriti jnanam, mata smriti jnanam apohanam cha. That He is seated in our heart, from Him comes knowledge, remembrance and forgetfulness. That He is the one who gives the ideas, He is the one who gives the directions, He is the one who gives the bala to move material energy. Everything it is from Him, it is coming. So I want to serve Him, and if it is not happening, the Lord is waiting for me to respond in some other way. He wants me to purify. He wants me to become pure. Achieving anything for the devotee is nothing, because at least for the Lord, I want to achieve for the Lord. If I want to achieve for the Lord, it doesn't happen, means the Lord is waiting for you to respond, for you to purify, for you to change your perspective. So many reasons the Lord is waiting, And the devotee knows that also. So therefore he does not get frustrated. He looks back and he tries to see the wish of the Lord, will of the Lord. It may not be only one's own limitations. The Lord may say, this time, this is not the time, I don't want it. I don't want the fruit to come now. The Lord may say, a fruit should come. So many unlimited things are there that the Lord has to. As I explained yesterday, the Lord has so many love compulsions. The Lord has no other compulsion. As far as this material world is concerned, if somebody asks anything for the Lord, Lord will give it according to laws of karma. Because that is His law of fairness. As far as devotees are concerned, the devotees, they pray to the Lord is ready to give and sanction, provided that is in line with our other desires. Because we make one desire, and then we make a contradictory desire. Today I say I want to be a pure devotee. Tomorrow I say I want this. So now the Lord has to reconcile both things, because both you only have prayed. So that is why the Lord is very sensitive, because He is seated in our heart. So He may not give. Here Kardama Muni is saying, I know all these things, I know what is pure devotional service, but I am asking this. He is asking, he is very clear, so he got it. Ye etamam prapadyante tam sache bhajamiham. But one understands in the beginning itself, Kardama Muni said, it is only foolish to ask for any material desires from the Lord. One should not ask any material desires from the Lord. One should not pray anything specific from the Lord. Because anything specific from the Lord when you pray, unless it is ordered by a guru. There are so many general instructions. But with a specific order, one should not be attached. One should depend on the Lord. Acharya, Srila Prabhupada has given so many specific desires and general desires. Specific desires are there, yes, we should gun for it. Because it is not your desire. The danger of specific desire is that if it comes out of one's ahankara in the immature stage, you cannot push the Lord to sanction. It is very unfair. Unfair in the sense it's very embarrassing for the Lord. So developing disgust for material enjoyment is one of the result of running around this karma chakra, fruitive life. Life after life after life, you do fruitive, finally you get frustrated. Then he said, there must be some other way of existence. What is that existence? Surrender to Krishna, He take care. That is the existence. That when it comes. After getting disgusted by this controlling tendency, he gives up this controlling tendency. He gets into serving. Controlling is different from acting. Acting in controlling mode is different from what we tend to think, oh, I should not control, therefore I will not act. No, acting is constitutional. Serving is constitutional. You have to serve without controlling mode. How do you serve without controlling mode? You have to understand that the doing ability is from Krishna, from Paramatma. That I have to offer to the Lord in His service. And every fruit is seated in my heart, everybody's heart. The fruit is decided by Him. That is very difficult for those who are too much into controlling, for them to believe that the Lord is the one who is the giver of the fruit. Because tendency, I want to lift my hand, I lift my hand. I don't see any God here. I had an end in mind, I want to lift my hand. I lift my hand. So where is God? But these are all the things that the Lord has already given you. Okay, do what you want. You lift it or throw it or kill somebody or do what you want. That much freedom is given to us. But that what He has given to us is His willing power. He sanctioned. Suppose you had a paralyzed hand, then that is not sanctioned. So that is sanctioned by the Lord, that power, different kinds of power. So use and misuse of those power will create action and reactions. Punya and Papa, according to that the living entities suffer or enjoy in this material world. So that kind of existence the devotee have given up. That is called struggle for material existence. Struggle for material existence means you have to struggle to earn. When you surrender to Krishna, it's not struggle for material existence. You surrender to Krishna and not simply surrender to Krishna, then I won't struggle anymore. I will surrender to Krishna. Krishna will give me everything. No, that is not the meaning of surrender. You struggle, you stop your struggle for material existence. Means you surrender to Krishna, surrender to Krishna's will, surrender to Krishna's service, surrender to what pleases Guru and Krishna. It is equally variegated life as much as an unsurrendered, fruitive life. Full of variety. Surrendered life is also full of variety. Any questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, how to make sure that our actions are surrendered or not, like whenever we are doing something, how to make sure that we are doing under the perfect surrenderance, everything, whatever we are doing?
First of all, if you are following the system of Prabhupada, where you follow the direction that comes from the authority system, then that itself is first level of purity. You are already safe. Then your internal consciousness, whether you are really surrendered. At a macro level, at a gross level, yes, you are surrendered. Now inside my consciousness, whether I am surrendered. That is what I said, that one has to continuously purify one's quality of service, and one has to continuously increase the quality of his sadhana. So by increasing the quality of sadhana, one's quality of service is increased. Quality of surrender is increased. When one increases the quality of sadhana, one becomes purified and one gets transcendental knowledge. When one gets transcendental knowledge, everything becomes so clear that he can act in a surrendered manner. Without knowledge, one cannot really do pure surrendered service. One has to have transcendental knowledge. That transcendental knowledge and realization comes from sadhana and service and sadhana. So sometimes we isolate these two things. We think that spiritual advancement means how much service you do. What all you produce out of your service. That is what is, he is advanced. Maybe not also. That is not a criterion at all. The quality of service, again, the devotee who is able to do anything for the Lord, he has to also ensure that he is constantly increasing his quality of his sadhana, so that the quality of his service also. This is very important. As far as producing result is concerned, and devotee bringing more and more result for Prabhupada, that's fine, that's very good. But parallelly one should have sadhana, good sadhana, reading, everything in such a way that the mood in which he does the service, the various things, how he thinks about the result, who is giving the result, who is doing, prakrite kriyamanani, gune karmani sarvashaha, mayadakshena bhakti suyate sacharacharam, all these things, does he have it in his background when he does all these things? I should be Krishna conscious while engaging in Krishna's service. So this is a gradual progress in that. Those who only think that okay, I'm going on, I'm producing result, they give overemphasis and they mistake that they are advancing. Because that is not a criterion. That could be a criterion, but that's not a criterion. And why it could be a criterion? Because if purity is there, the Lord will make you more and more instrument. But if you are more and more instrument in Lord's service, does not necessarily mean that you are pure. A neophyte has got lot of rajoguna, lot of ability. The Lord may allow him to do lot of things. But if he does not purify himself, at the end of the day, in the process it does not purify himself, it will not last. That service will not last. That service, out of that, so many anarthas, so many weeds will grow out of that. So when we are dovetailing our gunas in Krishna's service, to ensure that gunas are not putting weed in our heart, weed of name, fame, success, pleasure, control, exploitation, all these tendencies that are there, if those are weeds that can come with success in preaching. So those weeds have to be, how the weeds will go away? Only by sadhana. So that is important. So it's how both these things are supporting each other. We should understand these things. Just not go extreme one sadhana, then no use. What are you practicing? So many, your stage is that anartha nivritti. For your anartha nivritti to come out, you have to engage in practical service, then only, you will realize, then you will chant, then you will remove all those things. You're a neophyte, you simply sit and chant. You will not be able to purify yourself. You will not be able to chant, Prabhupada says. So Prabhupada has given us a perfect formula of balancing direct association of the Lord and the association of the Lord through service. We are devotion service, practical preaching is also association with the Lord. There is no difference between name, form, activities and service of the Lord. They are all one. But for us at this conditioned stage, service is different. Morning sadhana service is different. That is direct association. Hearing Bhagavatam, direct association. Chanting Hare Krishna, direct association. Worshipping the deity, direct association. Worshipping the Guru, direct association. After that, morning till evening, then you are doing various services. That is also association with Krishna. But we are not expert to associate with Krishna when we do that service. So, we have to develop the quality of that service. It is a lifelong challenge. How to increase the quality of the service. Service means it has got a mood, there is knowledge behind it, there is feeling behind it, there is a background knowledge about it, whom you are serving, what pleasing the Lord, what is the goal of it. Any other question?
Prabhu, you said that Lord fulfills the desires of the devotee based on what it deserves. So, what does deserve means, Prabhu, exactly?
Deserve means whether you have got a bank account, you got a balance in your bank account. Everything in the material world is papa and punya, accumulation. You have got a credit, papa and punya. So you desire something, you need a certain punya for fulfillment of that. Just like if you earn money, right? Money is a currency with which you buy pleasure in the material world. So similarly, punya is a currency. You have a desire, then you can, if you have punya, you can get it. This is as far as the karmis are concerned. The Lord is perfectly fair with them. Fair to all living entities. And even if you are a karmi, the Lord is, if you desire something, the Lord not immediately fulfills. He will give you, that's how the living is. He will give you the direction, guidance by which you can fulfill those desires if you follow the instructions of how to earn punya in order to get that. Doing something in the material world is not simply, intelligence. You need punya also. You need punya. If you have punya, then you will get the jnana, bala and kriya to do that. If you don't have the punya, then if you desire something, you will not have that. But in the case of devotional service, in the case of devotees whose desire is Krishna's desire, whose desire is Acharya's desire, nothing to do with your punya. Yoga kshemam mahamyam. Whether you have currency or not, mukam karoti vachalam pangulangayate girim yatpatamahum mande shigurun dinatarinam. The lame can cross over the mountain, the dumb can become eloquent, even if you don't have punya. That is the difference between devotees and devotees. So therefore, devotees, when they are trying to please Guru and Krishna, they never think that this is anything to do with my karmic credit. Maybe little tendencies are there. But Yogakshemam Vahamyam. He maintained what karma I had, and he provided whatever I lacked in order to do something. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.